I don't believe the thing that they claim to believe, which we could get into. So we start the show, which we are live. It is 6 o'clock.
Cool.
Yeah. Welcome to the Vomitorium, everyone. As always, I'm your host, The Metal, and joining me is my co-host, Marsupial Gamer. How you doing today?
Pretty good.
Yeah.
Getting ready. Did some laundry. Getting ready to leave town for a week.
Yeah. As you said in the chat, best stream you'll see all day. I can't guarantee it, but I believe it in my heart.
That's right. Yeah. So I was saying offline that I was debating like all week because I was kind of running low on food and drinks and stuff like that. I was like, should I go grocery shopping? Should I not? Because I'm leaving on Sunday. I decided not to, so I'm drinking water. I don't have any Coke left. I'm all out of food. Like the whole place is. Well, good. I have wine. I have wine in the fridge.
Yeah, but that's not hopefully go bad. It's wine.
Yeah. And I think I have beer. I should probably finish that before I go.
Nah, it's still not going to go bad. It's beer.
No, it's not, but still.
It's the thing with alcoholic stuff, right? The longer it sits, the more it ferments. The problem is, how powerful do you want your alcohol to be?
That's right. Well, I don't want to. I feel like it would be lonely if I didn't finish off the beer.
Yeah. Well, the beer has the wine to hang out with. But that's like
they don't get along.
Yeah, that's like going to like a family reunion and realizing that like you're one of those people, the descendants of both the Hatfields and the McCoys, and you're like, hey, how you guys doing? Which I actually fall in that group too, but it's very common. There's a lot of like Romeo and Julieting going on between those people.
Well, I might get a beer at some point during the show, maybe.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have no milk to go bad. I have no food to spoil, so I'm all set. All my clothes are clean.
Yeah,
I haven't started packing yet.
So that's the preferred situation. I'm always worried about food spoiling anytime I go out of town.
Yeah.
Which is weird because I never go out of town more than like 2 or 3 days at a time. It's like there's nothing that's going to spoil that time. Why are you being paranoid?
Yeah, really. Well, I'm going to be out tomorrow through Saturday, so I'll be back on Saturday. But I'll be back Saturday morning. I've got a really early flight, so I will be here next week. But I will also be here I'll be here on Wednesday. It's assuming the Wi-Fi is decent. I can log in on my laptop.
Just have a different backdrop if you even use your camera.
Yeah, but like I told you, I'm going to be in an apartment. I'm not going to be in a hotel.
Yeah.
So it won't look like a hotel. It'll look nice, hopefully.
Yeah. I was just saying, like, depending on the connection, could always come in voice only because that might be a better rate than if you have your camera. So hopefully it'll be a good enough connection that you can use your camera, but you'll probably be able to use your voice regardless.
I guess we'll see.
Yeah. Anyway, guess we start rolling into things.
You were talking about something that you should probably start over with.
Yeah, definitely. It's one of the reasons why I want to cut straight into the intro so we could reset this topic.
Yeah.
I think. Oh, hey, GMT's here too. Yeah, actually, let's address the chat too. We've got Coolio Shooty Main, buddy of mine hopped in here. We've got Reaper in the chat. Killshot, I know, is also Coolio. Is on YouTube. Yeah,
and Fire Scale Forge.
Don't know, but hey, unless you're also somehow Coolio before you logged in, or if you're a different person, nice to see you anyway. Nice to see everyone who's in chat.
And GMT, of course.
Yeah. And
Joshua Hughes.
Just showing up in time while we're seeing everybody here. But yeah, so there's the claim that Square Enix is stealing cultural property. Now, I had never even heard of this idea until recently, from more of like a property rights level. I've heard people complain about cultural appropriation, but nobody's ever like actually tried to make some legal cultural property claim before, to my knowledge. But apparently this is something very common among the Sami people. So the Sami is a group of very far northern people in Europe. They are, I think they're related to the Scandinavian people, but they broke off like so long ago that you wouldn't call them Scandinavian. Like they have pre-Proto-Viking roots to their split, right? And they lived so far north that nobody wanted anything to do with them, or vice versa. They're like the hermit people of the world. They live up in the Arctic Circle, much like how you have the Inuit over here on this side. They're a very, very light-skinned people, and you find them in Sweden, Norway, Finland, and parts of like Russia at the very tip.
And apparently they play video games.
Or at least know about it.
Who
Well,
knew?
so, you know, the world is so technological. Yes, like Sami guy, who I haven't heard from in forever. But yeah, I mean, the world's so interconnected now that like you can live in the Arctic Circle and still have access to the internet and stuff.
Yeah.
And they have
Starlink.
Oh yeah, Starlink. Yeah. Well, I mean,
maybe
even for them before that, because they are in the countries of like Norway, Finland, and Sweden, which are some of the countries that have some of the best internet in the world. I wouldn't be surprised if somehow people drove fiber all the way up to where their tribes are and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, they have this
They're
weird
upset.
idea about cultural property, that they have a look and a cultural identity that is theirs, and that from a property rights and intellectual property rights perspective, you can infringe on it. And apparently they claim, though I've never heard of this before, that there is international law around cultural property that is respected by like certain councils like the UN and stuff. I've literally never heard this before. But they're coming after Square because in Final Fantasy XIV, they have a set that you can buy on the MOG station called the Far Northern Attire. And if you look at it, you immediately recognize that it's Sami clothes, or at least inspired by it. Like, it's not one-to-one their design, but you can tell that's what's influencing it. It costs $18, which I always find this stuff ridiculous anyway. Square can make their money however they want as long as people are willing to buy it. But it's not cross-account. It's not something that, like, once you buy it, it's on all your characters. Clothing, unlike mounts, you have to buy per character. And it's like $18 for a single character. That's a lot of money just for a fucking outfit. But people do it, so, I mean, more power to them. You know. But they want them basically to remove this from the store. That's their demand.
It's so cute in on the little, what are the little ones called? The Lalafels.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, it's like the Sami Council demands Square Enix to immediately remove the Final Fantasy XIV costume set Far Northern Attire. These elements are Sami property, and Square Enix has infringed on our rights. And I'm thinking, like,
here, look at this.
What rights do you actually have to your culture? Right? Like, I think you have a right to perpetuate your culture to some degree, as long as whatever you're doing isn't harming somebody else. But, like, what right do you have to
that's small.
The imagery of your culture? Like, where's the actual property right there? I can't fathom where it comes from, you know?
Mm-hmm. That's so cute. Like, how is that? I mean, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's the most bizarre story I've seen today.
I guess, like,
something Twitter made up, I thought.
Yeah, no, but this is actually coming from the council. And, like, even for fashion, it's weird. So we could try to say that, like, the tribe, the people,
yeah,
can function as an entity together, right? And we could try to apply, like, the same rights that you would have to an individual to the tribe, historically.
Mm-hmm.
But even an individual doesn't have this right. If you're in the fashion world, you have rights to logos and trademarks. You have rights to, like, insignias. and you can patent like a single design, but if somebody makes something that looks like a variant of the design where there's just enough change that you're like, it's close, but it's not the same thing, you couldn't sue on them for infringing your property rights or anything like that. And that's from individual
for
to
normal
individual.
normal IP. Yeah.
Yeah. And like this is kind of the same though. If we were to treat this as a person, it looks close, but it's not one-to-one to any of the historical designs that they have, you know?
Yeah, it's just, I mean, it's like you said, it's unmistakable that that's what they were going for, but the design itself is like unique. I mean, I imagine there's a whole bunch of different designs, but like, can you say, okay, if the flaps are good, because the flaps don't really go down, they kind of go back on the ears and stuff like that, and the shirt kind of is cropped here, and there's like a kilt kind of dress thing, and
yeah, you could tell it's got multiple influences. It's
what
not
aspects?
just the Sami people.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's weird.
I don't know. That's weird.
I think they're insane.
And like, what? I mean, does Japan have to follow this?
Well, Japan in general is in order with whatever like international copyright and property rights are. They usually play ball. That's why if you play ball, then other people play ball with you who do too. So that means if somebody else tries to infringe on Japanese properties, then vice versa, it goes back and forth between them, and they're pretty good about that. So I don't know if they will. I just think this case is stupid. 14 does this for everyone though. Like the only places that really haven't had an influence are the Americas, right? So you don't really see influence from indigenous people throughout the North or South America. And that's because they have a continent that's dedicated to the New World, but they haven't gone there yet. So that's why they don't have it. There probably would be references and stuff too if like DLC later when they go there. They just haven't ever been there.
I mean, World of Warcraft has the whole Tauren civilization is clearly based on American Indians. So
yeah, there's certain bits of things that you could tell has some influence, but like culturally, they mostly stay to Europe and Asia because that's just like the parts of the world that they've fleshed out so far.
Sounds dumb to me. I guess we'll keep an eye on that. Is it there's like a lawsuit or something?
I guess, I don't know. This is like the first claim, and they're pretty peeved about this. Yeah.
It's weird to me. Like, it used to be a good thing to like share your culture and have people learn about different cultures, and now it's like, actually, no, you can't.
The funny thing, right? It's that exact thing that they're complaining about, right?
They don't want people to share in their culture.
Or something like that. So they want people to like appreciate their culture without participating in it, basically, like weird Twitter people. They said that the cosmetic set is particularly damaging because they believe that the Sami traditions are not merely aesthetic, right? Or their clothing traditions aren't merely aesthetic. But it's like, I mean, you can say that about anybody's clothing traditions, right? Like they come from function and then they become an aesthetic over long periods of time. By creating this product, Square Enix has allowed their 41 million players, I mean allowed, but like most people aren't buying this set, to dress up as Sami people, clothe themselves in the Sami identity without our consent, and contribute to the erosion of our culture. And like, I don't think this actually contributes to the erosion of your culture. The erosion of your culture would be if you weren't allowed to exist in the place that you've always existed and continue your cultural practices, which I understand are protected by local governments to where, you know, people have to let you exist.
Well, maybe that's the problem. They've run out of problems, so they're making up new ones. They need to be oppressed so that they will, know what real oppression is. Now that they've been given special rights above and beyond everyone else, they have to make up and pretend they're being oppressed in fake ways.
I think they're probably just more worried about the internet in general, because you're talking about cultural erosion. If the kids in your villages and stuff are spending all their time playing games and stuff, they're going to start acting like people from other parts of the world. That'll erode your culture more than anything else.
You'd think they'd want their kids to play Final Fantasy 14 and dress like themselves.
Yeah, if anything, just demand it's like, hey, any account made by the Sami people, just get this for free. So that they can dress up as themselves from the very beginning of the game.
That might be a good compromise, I suppose.
Yep. Especially all of the stuff you get off the Mog Station are level 1 gear on purpose, so that you can glamour it to any gear set from the beginning of the game, right? So they could do that. See, GMT says, well, the South Sea Islanders, like the Samoan tattoos, are a bit of both these days. Yeah. They're cultural and they're kind of just aesthetic. I don't know. I don't really see a lot of Samoans and Polynesian people and stuff complaining about people getting tattoos similar to them. I'm sure there probably are some, but like widely, I don't see them complaining. There are some protective people out there, like the Sami, but most different cultures kind of see it cool to see people participating in their traditions. They're like, oh, hey, you like the stuff that we've been doing? Awesome. Just do it right, Come over here. We'll show you how to do it right.
Yeah, most people outside of, woke, mostly white people in the United States.
Yeah. There are some. There are a few, but I didn't know that this tribe was one of them.
Yeah. They'll complain while the actual people are like, yeah, we actually like it that you're participating and learning about our culture. And,
I'm reading about this. Apparently Disney contacted them ahead of time knowing about how these people are, and made a working agreement with them prior to the development of Frozen 2 because they wanted to show some of the culture in there.
Oh, really? Oh, really?
Yeah.
So it's actually in there in that movie as well?
Yeah, apparently. I saw like some scenes from Frozen 2, but it was so bad I couldn't watch the whole thing. Like the first one was already a mess, but like 2, it's like they had no idea where they were even going with it.
Yeah, I watched it with my daughter, but it was pretty bad. I loved the first one actually, but yeah, the second one was I don't even remember it. It was so random.
Like the parts of the first one that were bad was only because you could tell that they rewrote the story into production and had to change things, so it was very disconnected, right? But aside from that, it's like the songs were good, the characters were mostly written to act like people would in those situations, aside from like the weird oddities of the rewrite causing people to like violently change character halfway through. So, like, if you're aware of that, it's like
they're mostly human.
Yeah, mostly. Yeah. The only thing that seems inhuman is that they have like very sporadic character changes, and when you realize that the movie was rewritten halfway through, it makes sense, because Elsa was supposed to be the villain originally, and then they decided that they liked her too much, and that it probably would be good for the audience that this character that we like, that they'll probably like, is the villain. Even though like you could have made her the villain and have like a change of heart at the very, very end of the movie. There's other ways to do it, but they decided they wanted another core villain, and that caused them to rewrite like the entire later half of the movie. No, Elsa's not the villain. She's more of like a force of nature as a threat, but she and her sisters, I guess like sororital, you wouldn't say fraternal because they're sisters, but their sororital love for each other is the actual like hero of the story. which it makes sense. Most Disney stories are some type of love story, whether it's romantic, whether it is fraternal, sororial, whether it's even just like platonic between friends. Like that's usually the focus, is that somebody's feelings of passion or love end up triumphing over a situation, or causes the situation and they have to overcome it. But that's the general theme of how Disney does their writing.
Well, I thought I liked the turn where, you know, I figured, was it Prince Hans? Was that his name, or was Hans the other guy? Who was the bad guy?
I think it was Hans.
Hans of the Southern Isles.
Yeah. Well, because there's like there are 4 characters who, if you put their names
Yeah, it was
together,
Kristoff was the good guy.
Yeah. The 4 characters that, if you put their name together, kind of sounds like the creator of the Snow Queen. So it was Hans, Kristoff, Anna, Sven.
Oh, interesting.
Because Sven was Kristoff's caribou, his reindeer. And if you put them together, it's Hans Christian Andersen, which was the guy who wrote The Snow Queen and The Little Mermaid. They've done 2 of his stories so far.
Where does Elsa fit in there? She doesn't.
Well, so this, because these are all the original characters. Elsa, which I forget where her name actually comes from, because I don't believe that was the Snow Queen's name, is the Snow Queen from the original story. In the original story of the Snow Queen, the actual protagonists were a brother and sister who did make it into the film. They are the the steward, butler, and maid that work in the castle. You see them when they're actually kids. You see them in the background throughout Anna's whole little do you want to build a snowman thing. They're around and they are named, but that's it. That's the most of the original protagonists from the Snow Queen you see of in the entire movie, and then it's Disney fan fiction from there on out.
Yeah. Well, are you having any internet issues? Because
I think I probably am. Yeah.
A little bit of buffering.
Yeah, it's red.
What's up with your internet?
I don't know. I have no clue.
It was good for many, many months.
Yeah.
This is like the first time it's had an issue.
There could be issues with the lines for all we know, because there was like ice storm that came through recently and people haven't checked on things. Could also be the fact that like everyone's home, and one of the people who live here just built a new computer and is probably using a lot of bandwidth. I don't know.
Yeah, I guess. GMT says she saw a little Welsh culture and history in an anime and thought it was awesome.
Yeah. That's how most people usually think. They're like, oh, hey. It was like with the Mario Odyssey thing, and all the people on Twitter were complaining about the sombreros, but then like you actually ask Mexican people and they fucking love the Tosterinos. They're like, it's their favorite place.
Well,
yeah. Is there a new TV series that everyone has to see? I don't know. I haven't really seen a series in a long time that was like a must watch.
Ted Lasso.
I'd be more inclined to agree if it wasn't on Apple TV.
Yeah, it's on Apple TV. That's the only problem, is that I think I must have got Apple TV free with my phone, because I don't remember ever paying for it, but I have it somehow. So I managed to watch it. Oh, I know. I think Quantum Leap is a must see. I think it's fantastic. The new Quantum Leap.
It. I couldn't. Like I've seen upwards of 6 episodes of the show.
Really? And you don't like it?
No,
that's a shame.
Yeah. I like some of it. I think the parts of it that are actually like the old Quantum Leap are fine. There's just too much distraction, because modern shows have to juggle multiple things at the same time. They can't just be one thing anymore.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of an ongoing. It's not nearly as just episodic as the original.
Yeah, and I love the original. I thought the original was great. Yeah.
The original was so campy.
I think that's so part cheesy. Of what made it great, though.
I guess.
Well, that's the problem, right? So the original is I don't want to use the word comedy, but there's definitely a comedic element to the original. Like there were lots of bits and
Yeah.
jokes in it.
There's a comedy.
Well, it's kind of more of a dramedy, I guess would be the word, because there's a lot of the individual drama of the lives that he would jump into was kind of a core focus. I would probably call it like a sci-fi dramedy is the original show,
guess.
and it fit like a very particular niche at the time. It's good enough that I only ever caught it on reruns, obviously, because it was before my time when it came out, but it was good enough that watching reruns of this older thing, at no point did I ever think like this was a stupid show. Like I enjoyed it, and I think anything that a later generation can watch and enjoy as is a good product. I don't know if this will do very well after its time. The remake.
It kind of it followed in the footsteps, I think, of like Star Trek: The Original Series, where it's like, it's technically sci-fi, but it's really a Western. I mean, it's really just they go to a different planet.
It's
right.
half Western, half submarine genre. Those are like the two things in the original Star Trek. Like
Star Trek,
they go down. There's the landing missions, and that stuff really fits like the Western travel, indigenous people, diplomat stuff. But it was really anything. I mean, there's a mobster planet that got all the information from TV waves from centuries ago that finally reached them. But then the other one was
there was a Nazi
submarine.
planet.
Yeah, the Nazi planet. But then there was the submarine genre, right? And that was a big part of the show. All the major combat on the show that wasn't them just like rolling around doing things on desert planets was from being inside the ship while it was being shot at by other ships and stuff. And there was like red alert. And there's everything from like, God, what was that one show? There was a really old submarine show I used to watch. I'm trying to remember the name of it. I can't remember. It is bothering me. I was even watching reruns of it with my buddy Michael not too long ago. But there was quite a few submarine shows way back in the day, mostly inspired because like the Cold War, everybody was afraid of like not just nukes, but like there was gonna be a submarine war that broke out at any fucking moment between powers.
But anyway, Quantum Leap was kind of like a soap opera, right? I mean, it was like different stories every week, which was like technically sci-fi, but it was like that was not really.
That's why I call it a dramedy, right? Because it's got all the drama that a soap opera would have, but the writers had a good sense of humor, so there was a lot of bits and jokes and stuff, especially just like the character of Al. I mean, that was like the biggest sense of humor in the entire show.
And they could pretty much do anything. I mean, anything from they could kind of steal episodes from the A-Team and the Hulk, the old Hulk show to Star Trek to I mean anything, because they could just be like, oh, he leaps into a fighter pilot, he leaps into a boxer or something like that. But they're doing the same thing. But like a third of every show, they're showing the future and there's this ongoing story.
Yeah, and that's the part that kind of takes me away from it too.
You don't like?
Like because I watched one recurring gag because you could jump into anyone. Is there were a few times in the original series where he would end up jumping into the body of the opposite sex because it could literally be anyone he jumps into. One time he was a pregnant lady. That was really funny. I watched one of the rewatched episodes. And he ended up being like a chick in a biker jacket that was like a bounty hunter or something like that, or some type of agent that was chasing someone down. And there was a lot of bits that were pretty funny because, he was in the body of a woman. And it's like, oh, this feels like the original show during those moments. And it's like, I just want to keep watching this. And then it keeps taking me away from the stuff that I'm enjoying for this like background plot and stuff that I don't care about.
My only complaint is I wish that every episode ended with him saying, "Oh boy." I mean,
that would be great.
Every time he leaps into a new character, that's every single time Sam would be like,
the next episode for the most part, where he would jump in. There was a couple times where he jumped to a person that there was no follow-up episode, just to make you imply there's like, oh, there's something that happened in between the time that we saw him. But for the most part, it was always, I think 90% of the time, it would be like a little preview of what the next story would
Yeah.
be. Yeah.
Well, and this one does that. It
Yeah.
shows what he
Does it
leaps
do the
into
old boy?
next. Yeah, he just kind of looks around like dazed and confused. But I'm like, come on, say it. Just say it. It's like you're just waiting for him to say it. But
There we go. YouTube seems slightly better.
Mm,
I'm assuming Amish housewife is GMT.
oh. Yeah. I don't know. They're about the same, I think.
Yeah.
But anyway, I like it.
Well, the thing about
know,
YouTube
it depends.
is if for some reason it falls behind on our end, which it does happen that with buffering, happens to the Dillard and stuff. If it realizes it's behind, you can click to go live. Twitch, the best thing you could do is hit refresh the whole page and hope that it gets you to whatever live is supposed to be, but it's a Twitch. Yeah.
It's weird. It's almost like OBS is like caching
Yeah.
or something. I don't know how it works, but
No, I'm definitely having some type of bandwidth problem though. My kill bits seem fine. They're within like the 2500 to 3500 range that you want, but it's red, and I've dropped 12% of frames since the entire time that we've been live.
that's a shame.
Yeah. It's not even encoding. Like I'm no encoding overload. It's just the fact that the signal's red.
Can you decrease your kilobits on the fly, or
No, I can't do that.
you can't?
But I don't. That would really wouldn't make that big of a difference, though. Shoot, right now it's 64,000 or 6,400. It's just some problem with the connection in general. It doesn't matter about how much I'm getting. There's some issue.
Well, what's the next story?
Yes, so I do have stuff looking through the list. Oh, I guess what you say, because we were talking about this ahead of time. We finally broke 100 subs on YouTube, so that's cool. We hit a milestone. Things are coming along fine.
Nice.
We definitely need more. We need way more. So make sure you share this out with everybody you know and force them to watch it against their will. That's our policy here at the Vomitorium. We will culturally enlighten your fellow man.
Yeah. Well, see, now I don't know if GMT would agree with me or you, because in this, she's saying half the fun of Quantum Leap was trying to piece together what the hell was going on in 1999. In this one, there is a mystery of what's going on in 2023, I guess, but they at least give you a story of what's going on in the future or in the present, which I like, but you don't. So that's fair enough.
I
don't know if you'd like it, but
it's
on NBC if you want to check it out.
The bigger problem is that it cuts back and forth, right? If it was strictly like, if like the last 5 to 10 minutes, right? We've got the oh boy moment, and then it goes back to modern time, and we're seeing what's going on. I don't think I would dislike that as much. I wouldn't even turn it off. I'd still watch through the whole thing. I kind of like the idea that it's all pieced together at the end, or even at the beginning. Like it could be one or the other. But you were kind of immersed in the life that Sam was living at the time with him. And that was part of the thing. Is like he's being thrown into a new life every day, but so are you with him to a degree. And I feel like the way it cuts back and forth is pulling me out of the immersion of this strange life he got thrown in that I had in the original show.
Yeah, that's true. You never really get fully immersed, because it's like it'll jump to them talking about what he's doing, or jump to them talking about something completely different, and then it'll just go back to him. So it's not quite the same experience as the original show.
Yeah, like I wouldn't even mind if you had like 5 minutes at the beginning and 5 minutes at the end. You sandwich the show in between the plot going on in the present. That could be fun. I don't want to be pulled out of the immersion of the life.
Yeah, they could have done that because really the future stuff has its own
Oh, Amish
storyline.
Housewife isn't GMT. Okay, I didn't know. If, I forgot the GMT has a YouTube. So Amish Housewife is a different person. Hello.
Oh,
I wouldn't be surprised if GMT had like several weird names. Everybody's got weird names. There are versions of me on the internet that none of you guys know about or ever will.
interesting.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, since you asked, I like that show. It's on NBC. I can't think of anything else. I don't really watch television other than that. In fact, I
Well-
watched that on Peacock.
There might be part of an explanation that just happened. I took my headphone off. My brother came in here and he was like, "Hey, are you good? Did you ever lose internet?" So we never lost connection.
Uh-oh.
Apparently, other people were having problems too. And I was like, "We're green now." That actually
I think we're
might
fine.
have been everything that was the problem.
But what was it?
I don't know. He just came in and he's like, and it's like, was there a problem? He's like, okay, then you're good, fine. So I don't know, but apparently there was something going on with the internet here. Just,
Okay.
yeah.
As long as it's fine now.
Yeah.
Who doesn't have 80 accounts in this day and age?
I know, right?
Yeah. Seriously. Oh my gosh. Did you Games Done Quick bans Hogwarts Legacy and other Harry Potter games? I swear GDQ is just trash. They need to go away.
Yeah. Speaking of things that need to go away. Oh, and then we hit red again. I have no idea what they're doing with the internet. I'm probably gonna have to do some type of I don't know, troubleshooting and stuff later. But things that need to go away that was on the docket of stuff to talk about. E3 2023 is apparently, quote unquote, definitely still happening. Which I don't care, honestly. I think it can happen. It's still dead. I think that's the part they don't understand. We know that Microsoft is doing their own thing. Nintendo kind of always does their own thing, but they might even be partnering with Microsoft to do their stuff at the same time, or like back to back. So they might actually be doing something with Microsoft. Sony is doing their own state of play as well, and like all these people have said they're not going. So like, what's it for? Ubisoft might still have a show. They're not sure if the events are going forward. Square might, but I think I heard they're just going to do their thing with Sony because they often do. So I think Square's big thing will be done with Sony, and then anything that's not Sony related, we'll hear about like maybe some Square announcements during a Nintendo Direct or whatever. But it's like it's all just going to be these smaller people. I don't think E3 can survive on just the non-hardware developers having shows at their conference.
Yeah, because I mean, that's what the game developer conference is for. I thought.
Yeah, it is originally, right?
E3 was supposed to be hardware mostly.
Well, yeah. Originally, it was an investor conference where there were some journalists, but it was targeted at investors. So it was bigger for the hardware because the hardware is the one that needs the investors on more than anything else. And then there was some software stuff that was related to hardware announcements. It's like, oh, well, if we're coming out with a new system, here's the lineup of games that are going to be on it at launch so that you know it's worth investing your money into and everything. And there'd be other gadgets and stuff, some of the stuff that maybe you'd see at CES as well, but just game related. I think, what was it? The, like Link's crossbow trainer and any of those big accessories and stuff would always be announced. Guitar Hero was originally announced at E3, which makes sense because it's a game centered around a controller. But then over time, as it became less of a developer, or not an investors conference and more of a consumer show, which is what CES is supposed to be, is the consumer electronics show, it became more and more about just like the AAA industry shoveling its games at you through pre-approved journalists. And it's like, I don't know what E3's identity anymore, right? It was the Electronic Entertainment Expo, which is why it was like hardware and things related to the hardware. That's where the electronics come from. But it's like, again, you have CES, so you could put any of your electronic stuff in there as well. You've got the Game Dev conference, and for the other side of the world, you've got the Tokyo Game Show, which is actually, from the very beginning, centered around games. It's in an identity crisis, and I think it needed to die when G4 died, and things are catching up to it. Or either that, or it needed to reformat itself back to how it used to be.
Yeah, it's I was never interested in it. You know, what's interesting is that I just got an acquaintance of mine. What's her name? Holly Wolf.
Yes.
Just got confirmed as she was invited as a content creator to E3.
Yeah, because that's like, how else do you sell it without having content creators and stuff selling it? Because you used to have like G4 staff and Spike TV hosts and stuff like that, a couple MTV. But these days, if you really want staff on there, it invites people to do like the different interviews and everything. Well, all you can do is go to the internet and find influencers.
Right. So I guess that's how they're going to do it. They're going to try and bring in this, sexy influencers.
But that's what I think is part of the problem, right? So it's like, with the age of the internet, I think that what killed G4 is the same thing that's been slowly killing E3. E3 was the only way you could find out about all of this stuff, right? And this is part of the identity crisis. You had to wait yearly, and then all the big developers, like the hardware developers and their software, would have to come up here, and you'd have like the Nintendo show, the Xbox show, the PlayStation show, and stuff like that. And now they don't need you. They don't need you anymore. And Nintendo was the first to realize, is like, wait, but we have the internet. We can just do our instead of like paying, because basically as a developer you had to pay to have a show, you had to sponsor them and stuff like that. Instead of paying you, we could just have our own direct to the people.
Yeah, they already established their directs years and years ago.
And then other people were like, cool, state of play.
Yeah.
We could do the same thing.
And have you ever seen like this Nintendo Directs? They're an event because they're only every few months, and like the big ones, like they just had, it's like 150,000 people watching. Yeah. Or no, it's 150 million. No, I can't be right. I don't know. Maybe it was like 250,000. I don't know. It was hundreds of thousands of people watching live on
and then
YouTube
they will hit
every single time
afterwards. Just most people.
Live. Yeah, but even live, maybe I'm completely off. Maybe it was way more than that, but and I know it was hundreds of thousands, at least, that watch it. And it's a big and everything trends on Twitter for like a week. I mean, people are still talking about fucking Metroid Prime remastered, and I mean, they don't need it. Well, they create their own events.
They're already investing in other things. Like, what was the big thing last year was the Summer Game Show that happened before E3, right? Which was done by the Game Awards. And, I'm not a fan of the Game Awards. You aren't either. But it does show that, like, there is more influence around this thing than there is around E3 at the moment. That somebody like Microsoft and PlayStation would rather go to the Summer Game Show for all their big announcements.
Yeah. And even PlayStation is doing their own essentially directs now. I don't know if Microsoft does too, but
so they already have a
state of play
for this summer. I don't know if they're going to start doing something like the director state of play themselves. Though they have had a few showcases. They might even just call it the Microsoft Showcase, go old school like how everybody does at E3. Yeah. But they are planning a summer event, and Nintendo it might actually have their direct lined up with that. There's been some talks that they might be partnering up with Microsoft for that. So
I don't know if Nintendo is even going to need to do much this summer, because it's like, Tears of the Kingdom is going to be out May 12th.
Yeah,
Pikmin 4, I think, is coming out this spring too, right? I feel like, wasn't
I
it?
think so.
I don't remember.
It's coming out sometime this year.
Yeah, it's like by the time E3 rolls around, Nintendo is going to be done for the year. They're going to be like, well, we did everything. What else do
Well,
we
but
need to do?
there's definitely things that they
Oh,
need to talk
July.
about
July 21st.
that are going throughout the whole year. But they don't need to make a major announcement. Like they'll probably talk
Yeah.
about
Oh, maybe Metroid Prime 4.
maybe if that's still gonna be on the docket for some
This
time
year.
in this lifetime. But there's the other parts of the next wave of the Mario Kart DLC that they only announced the one track in the Birdo. There's a lot
Yeah.
of update stuff that they will probably want to talk about in directs. They just don't need like a whole showcase for it, right? What was there? Pokemon updates as well. Like there's a bunch of little things to add in. They
Yeah.
will probably talk about more of the second wave of Splatoon that they kind of only teased at in that last direct. Like they kind of teased at a lot of the things they'll talk about. There's just nothing like major, you know.
Yeah. When is E3? Is it June or July?
It's usually late July, like almost August. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
Oh, this year actually June 13th to 16th. They're doing it a little early.
Oh. So maybe they will talk about Pikmin 4 because that comes out July 21st.
Maybe. But Microsoft's teased event begins June 8th. So like a whole week before E3.
I haven't paid attention to E3 in years, so
Well, I mean,
I'm
to
going
be
to
fair-
continue to.
They took 3 years off.
Oh, is that why? I don't.
Yeah.
I
Like,
didn't even
there's still
know.
things- Yeah, so people thought E3 was still happening because things like PlayStation and Nintendo, they still timed their events around that time of year because that's when
Yeah.
E3 was going to happen. But there were no actual showcases. It was just like, oh, Square has its own digital showcase, and everybody did these digital showcases the week you were expecting E3 to happen. But there was actually no E3. Nobody showed up to the Las Vegas Convention Center or anything like that.
Yeah. I guess, yeah, GDC did the same thing. They basically canceled it for 2 years. They're actually back this year, but number one, who the hell wants to go to San Francisco at this point?
Oh, yeah.
And number two, they're requiring like masks and vaccine cards and all this bullshit. So who the hell's going to go to that? I have no idea.
They should just wake up and all travel for it. 'Cause that's the reason they want to be in San Francisco, because it's like Silicon Valley's right there. Everybody who works and lives in the area can just drive. They don't have to actually take a plane or anything like that.
And I guess the Moscone Center is really big. So
yeah, but you know, it's also really big. They should just wake up and rent out the Austin Convention Center and just everybody take a vacation trip down there for the conference.
yeah. Or the one in Houston is fantastic. The
Oh,
one
yeah.
that Anime Matsuri was at. Yeah.
I think
But you're right.
The
There's
actual
a lot of-
Austin Convention Center is probably like the biggest one in the state, though. And I've been to a lot of convention centers in the state. So if you want like that prime center, you want to go to the one in Austin. It's expensive though. Like if you want a cheap center, you
Yeah, I
just come
bet.
up here to Dallas. We've got plenty of big ones, but
I don't think I ever went to the Austin Convention Center the entire time I lived there.
yeah,
I don't even, maybe it didn't exist. That was
that's
like
been
20
around
years
for
ago.
quite some time. It's just like this big block building in the middle of town.
That's
It's-
usually what a convention center is.
I
Yeah.
think it's a block
Gigantic.
from Fifth Street. Like I don't think it's not on Fifth or Sixth, but it's like you literally can walk off the center, turn a corner, and you're on like Fifth Street or Fifth Avenue, and it's like I remember we walked around. I was showing people our hotel. I think was on Fifth for SGC. Because SGC was lined up to be with RTX that year, but we were in a different hotel. It was basically like, after that convention's over, come over here for a nonstop party. And I think they were a block down. Like, you had to actually leave our hotel to walk a block to get into the convention center. It was like, for horrible. I hate commerce cons. You just walk in. It's only a show floor. But that's what a lot of conventions want. So
Yeah.
if you want a big show floor, you've got it at the Austin Convention Center. But it was just horrible. I just wanted to go back to our arcade panel room party the entire time.
GMT says she wants to travel to San Francisco, but only because she wants to try the Cannonball Run with Flit in a rented, heavily modified Audi A8.
That's fair. Cannonball Run is great. I love that movie.
Did they go from San Francisco to somewhere? I don't
Um,
remember.
well, I
It was
know-
coast to coast, right?
It was coast to coast. I forget where they started. I think it was New York to No, was it San Francisco to New York? It was in one direction, but that was like the route. It's been a while since I watched it. I probably haven't seen it in like a decade, but I remember laughing my ass off watching that movie. It was New York to San Francisco. Okay, yeah.
You just have to stop when you get to San Jose. That's far enough.
Yeah.
You don't have to see the coast.
That's actually a horrible destinations now. Like whichever one you start, New York to San Francisco. That's like a. Normally, you talk about a shit sandwich. It's like I can say, the bread part of the shit sandwich is good. This is like the opposite. It's like the bread.
I mean,
is the shit, and it's filled with.
I think New York is still probably nice to visit, don't you think? I mean,
everyone is leaving New York.
But yeah, I wouldn't want to live there. But I mean, it's fun to visit.
I guess if you only
better
stay
than
in
San
Times
Francisco.
Square.
Yeah, I mean, at least there's not like, as far as I am aware, there's not like shit in the streets.
No,
and
but there's also
active,
nothing going on. Like, a lot of New York City still has masks mandates, just like everywhere else.
I guess.
In that type of bubble, and like I don't know, just New York's not that good right now. I
would never want
to.
to. Never want
I
to
go to
live
Long
there.
Island. There's a lot of fun stuff on Long Island going on.
Yeah. But I don't think I would even want to visit San Francisco at this point.
No.
Like I wouldn't want to set foot in that. It just sounds awful.
I know.
I also love the irony of Flit being the lookout.
'Cause he's
Why is
blind.
that ironic? Oh, I see.
He's not just impaired eyesight from like a resolution level, but he's also colorblind. So Flit would make a very horrible lookout.
You know, Phantasmagorical is, I guess, I don't know, sight impaired as well.
Yeah.
One of our Comicscape buddies, Comicscape friends,
Yeah, one
who
of our
happens to be in
subscribers.
Alabama. She's in Alabama, right down
Yeah.
the street from me, actually.
Nice. Yeah, he'd be breaking barriers. He wouldn't even be able to tell something is a barrier. You could put like an orange cone in the road. It's like, I think I vaguely see something in a road. You just go straight over the orange cones.
I see a gray cone.
Yeah.
It's probably
not even
fine.
able to tell. Like, I'd definitely be brighter, right? It'd be more luminous than the street itself, but also it'd be blurry because of his poor vision. So it'd just be like, I vaguely see something in the road. You go straight over the cones, down a street you're not even supposed to be, maybe drive off a cliff.
Yeah. Sounds like it would make an exciting movie.
Yeah. GMT will have to be using her internal TomTom to navigate.
Oh man, you remember TomTom? Jeez.
Yeah, that's not what lookouts do anyway. They operate the radio. Yeah.
I remember that. You know what's funny is my truck came with a GPS system, like, you know, that I guess they had bought. I mean, it's not like built in, but you know, it was in the glove box or whatever. And I'm like, oh man, I remember these. This is back before smartphones and Google Maps. I remember that.
I actually almost forgot about TomTom. The Mighty Boosh recently, which is such a great show. I love The Mighty Boosh. And there's a bit where all of the shamans, the magic men, are going on the head shaman's forced retreat. Like they all have to do like a company retreat type thing together, and they're on his flying carpet and they're all singing. He's like, "I need you to quiet down. I can't hear my internal tom tom." And it's funny that like the top magic man has a tom tom inside his brain that he uses to navigate while they're like a magic tom tom while they're on their flying carpet. Have you ever seen the Mighty Boosh?
No, I have not.
I know you've definitely seen a clip from it because I've shared it with you guys. Whether
Oh,
that's
the
what
old Greg.
is from, yeah.
Yes, I'm aware of that.
Yeah. So I was
Excuse me.
very disappointed that the only person who even knew who Old Greg was when we hit that part of the campaign was Buck, and that's only because I've shared that clip with him since like high school.
Yeah, you can't be that obscure with
Yeah.
the rest of us
Not.
normies.
It's not that obscure. I mean, yeah, it was. So they were a comedy troupe that did like a live show, almost like a band, right? They did some music, they did some skits and stuff live, and they became so popular that they got a show on the BBC or whatever. I don't even think it was the main one. It was probably like one of the offshoots, like BBC 4 or something. But they got a publicly broadcasted show that even made it over here. Adult Swim picked it up for broadcast, and that's how most of us Yanks got to see it. But it's hilarious. It's
me.
one of the the funniest surreal shows that you could ever see.
Oop. My watch didn't understand.
Oh, okay. Yeah, they got a radio show first too, because most of their comedy is through like their vocal performance, right? And they do like a lot of singing. They call it crimping, and a lot of it could just be done as a radio show, but the visuals do really help make it later on. But yeah, E3's dead, as far as I can tell.
But yeah, but the bottom line is E3's dead.
Yeah. Let's see.
I think I'm gonna apply to do a speed run of Hogwarts Legacy at
Apply to
GDQ.
do a speed run of it. Do you think you could? That's the better question.
I've played it for like 2 hours. Come on, it's good enough.
I mean, if it's something so obscure that like nobody else is doing it, it's pretty easy to get like the speedrun record on something. 'Cause you're like, I'm the only one running it, but I don't know, man.
Since they're not allowing anyone, I'll just get rejected anyway.
Yeah. It's so funny that politics have gotten so much into games done quick. They're like, yeah, no, we're not even accepting Hogwarts Legacy speedruns. No applications for it, nothing. It's banned already.
Or even like Lego Harry
Any
Potter or any other Harry Potter game.
Like the old the
So
GBA
retarded.
ones, which would actually be pretty easy to exploit in speedrun, or any of the PlayStation. All
Yeah.
Harry Potter's just banned on the spot as a topic.
So is Five Nights at Freddy's, by the way.
That doesn't surprise me, because
Yeah.
even though he stepped down in similar situation, Scott is not seen very friendly by the people of
He's literally never said a single controversial word, but he donated to the Republican Party or something.
That's
like
all that mattered.
So, yep. By the way, I have a story.
Oh, you do? Okay, what is it?
It's a quick one. The Nintendo 3DS and Wii U eShops are shutting down
Oh, finally?
next month. Yeah. I think it's next month.
I thought they were already shut down.
I know. Well, they keep delaying it. If you can't add funds
Yeah.
to your account as of sometime last
Yeah.
year. But if you have remaining funds in there, you can still buy games up until March 27th. And then after that, you have a year to transfer any other funds you have in there to your Switch eShop account.
I need to make
And
sure
man,
I've got everything
People are.
important downloaded because I know
Yeah, me
specifically,
too.
like the Pokebank is becoming a free service
Mhm.
when the shop shuts down. So that's one of those mandatory ones. I got to make sure that's on there. And there's a few other things.
Yeah. I got to see because I was actually lucky. I actually managed to transfer my ambassador program stuff to my new 3DS when I,
Same.
I had my old 3DS stolen. I bought a new one and I've got everything on there.
That's
So
nice.
yeah, I've got all the Game Boy Advance, NES, all kinds of cool stuff. Of course, I also have it jailbroken, so I can put
Yeah.
anything I want on
I've
there.
got 3 different accounts on 3 different 3DSs. Because I
Why?
took my original, so I got a new 3DS at one point in time, so I had to take the account from the original and transfer it over there. But you can't have an account, the same account on more than one DS. So I put another account on the old one because I wasn't going to sell it or anything. So it's got its own account. And then I was, well, I'm not going to say gifted. It was basically payment in a way. But a buddy of mine that I made like a lot of stream overlays for, and I did a bunch of other stuff for him while he was in Japan, sent me a limited edition red version 2DS. But it's Japanese, so I needed a Japanese eShop account to do anything over there. So that's got its own account and stuff too.
Yeah. But one account that I saw on Twitter was saying they couldn't believe they're actually doing this because there are games on there that are only like 6 years old,
Yeah.
and they're like, "Why are they doing like?" But I don't know, because get your purchases in now.
Yeah. Well, I think
Well,
it's,
I mean,
probably server
if you have any
capacity.
funds.
Like, it's probably not worth them keeping the service running on their servers.
Yeah, but I wish
Yeah.
I don't know what the logistics are or the economics of it, but I wish that basically theoretically you should be able to download. Well, I guess not. I don't know. I don't know how they're going to get DS and 3DS games to work on the Switch if they are at all. I don't know.
The issue is a touchscreen,
Yeah,
which is why
the Switch
most
has a
of the games-
touchscreen, but
Yeah, but not while it's docked.
in handheld.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why you see a lot of games are being not retrofit. It would be the opposite of that. But they're being fitted for the newer stuff by collapsing the screens into one screen, or finding out like, oh well, the bottom screen was only a map, so you just put a map in the corner. Don't actually need to touch it, or like Phantom Hourglass would be an easy one because you could just do a screen swap. I don't think there's a single time. Maybe Spirit Tracks too, where you actually need both screens at the same time. Except maybe a single boss fight, I think, in Phantom actually requires both screens. But they could find a way of making that work.
Yeah. Well, see, GMT says never forget you don't own your games anymore. But I mean, if you download it to if you download whatever you've bought to your 3DS, then you've got it. At
But the
least.
problem, and this is why the 3DS is worth jailbreaking. I think it only handles up to a 64 gigabyte SD card. I don't think it can handle any higher than that, which should be fine unless you're one of those people that have like everything, and then you can't fit it all in one SD card.
Yeah. GMT says, hold on, can you use a fancy Wii U controller? I don't
No,
think so.
the Wii U gamepad is not compatible with the Switch.
That would be a great idea.
That would.
And it would be a great idea if you could somehow connect your Switch to your TV so that you have the screen and the TV screen.
But you'd have to
But you
actually refit any of these games anyway. Because I'm thinking
Yeah.
like, well, Phantom Hourglass also I think has a part where you have to blow into the game, and there's a lot of microphone stuff in
Yeah.
old DS games, and
Does the Switch not have a microphone?
no, not at all. That's why you have to use your phone to talk to people in like Splatoon and stuff like that.
Yeah, Phantom Hourglass and Spirit Tracks has a microphone aspect,
Spirit
I
Tracks
believe.
too. There's a lot of games that are like that. Or there's some games like I don't think you actually can.
Wow.
What's it called? Transfer over, because like, what do you do, right? Or I guess you have to completely change the mechanic, like
Well,
folding the DS screen down to stamp the bottom screen. Is
Oh, yeah.
right? And it's like,
I remember
well, I
that.
guess you're just gonna have to put a stamp button in there, like an actual
Yeah.
reticle is like changes everything about it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, frankly, I think the best solution at this point is to get the newest, the new 3DS and Google mod 3DS modding.
Yeah.
It's a simple step-by-step process, and basically it'll open it up so that you can put any, of course, legally obtained ROMs of any DS or 3DS game on there, and you're good to go.
Yeah, and I think for multitude of reasons, a lot of companies are just looking like we're just going to remake games that were on those handhelds. Capcom already did it with the Ace Attorney trilogy for Phoenix Wright. They were originally DS games, but now you can play through the whole thing on your Switch or on Steam or whatever, which I don't like as much in any way. Honestly, like it's a good experience for people who've never experienced it. There's something about, like, I love the way the sprites looked, the pixel art. They weren't just JPEGs that became pixely because of the compression of the screen. Like they drew it, and then they actually went through and turned it into a sprite, so it looked good on the screen no matter what. And
I will say
the music too is like they're wonderful reorchestrations of the Phoenix Wright music, but there's something about like the chiptune sound from the DS game that actually just worked in its element.
Yeah. I will say the GBA games, especially Game Boy games, are fine on the Switch, but the Game Boy Advance games, holy shit, they look amazing on the Switch. And I actually have already played through all of Minish Cap on my Switch. It's so fun. I'm like, I haven't played this game. I have it on my 3DS, and I've never played it on the 3DS. I hadn't played it since I had a Game Boy Advance.
Since it came with the Ambassador program, I played all through Minish Cap on my 3DS.
I have it, and I just never bothered. It just, but I became re-addicted to it on my Switch. I don't know if it's just, I don't know. It's so fun. I have so many freaking Kinstones. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, my brother was playing WarioWare. Yeah, the original WarioWare micro games recently all the way through. Very, very great game. It plays well on the Switch, from what I can tell.
What's GMT talking about? Oh, Double Fine. Are they the ones that did the Phoenix Wright?
That's a Capcom game. I'm trying to think what Double Fine game they had incorporated the original version of the game with the remaster.
Something they did well was incorporating the original version. I don't know. Let's see.
I'm trying to think what game that they remastered recently.
There's so many games.
Yeah.
What? Wait. I don't know. Psychonauts.
Oh, Monkey Island and Grim Fandango. Oh, that's right. I forgot that they did the Grim Fandango one. Yeah, that one did have, like, I think the original game in there.
Oh yeah, Grim Fandango remastered.
I think Grim Fandango is a great game for people who like those old school adventures.
Oh, they also did Day of the Tentacle remastered. That's cool. That was originally a LucasArts game. Anyway.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I just wanted to warn people. Download your stuff onto your 3DS and then transfer your money over. If you haven't already.
Man, I tell you, my worst experience on the 3DS. Okay, well, second worst was Monster Hunter Ultimate. The worst was actually Spirit Camera, because how bad the 3DS camera is and the reflective quality of the manual that needed you to take pictures of it for the game to work. But the second worst was Monster Hunter Ultimate, which was a lot better once it was on the new 3DS, but it wasn't designed for the new 3DS. It just took advantage of it. It's a game that you have to play the majority of it single player, but it's designed to be played multiplayer. And the thing that sucks about it is, like, to do things single player in that game, you have to have, like, much better equipment than the thing you're going against. But the only way to really grind out is to go into the multiplayer lobbies for things you've already done, and it's just horrendous. And my friends try to get me. Mechanically, the game plays fine. I actually really like playing it on the DS. I think it plays way better than Monster Hunter World did, which feels sluggish by comparison. But it's just like the experience of a game like that being forced onto the 3DS, and because it was forced on the 3DS, it did not have the full multiplayer experience that like other Monster Hunter games had. It was just a nightmare to try to get through. I don't even think I finished it. And I had to erase so much stuff off my memory card to fit it in because that game has a lot of fucking data. I have a physical copy of the game too. All the data was just like updates and DLC and stuff because that's how Capcom is. It's like, I should not be overloading my card between this and Smash Brothers alone.
Yes, you should.
That's gonna be the worst part though, right? It's not about like downloads. It's also you have to make sure that you've got enough cards or enough space on the card that you can also have all of the patches and stuff. Like you have to make sure all of your games are patched up to date. It's not just they go download games. There's even physical games that if it's not patched, you won't even be able to do the local multiplayer with people if you're not on the same patch.
Yeah. And of course, you can always there are physical versions of most DS and 3DS games too.
If your physical version doesn't have the patch data on your SD card, like if you were on vanilla or like patch 1.0 of Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate, you would not be able to do local co-op with somebody who's on the last patch of the game.
Oh yeah, and if the shop is closed,
you can't.
You're going to be able to download patches and stuff.
No, because you need the service.
So is that going to be gone March 27th as well?
I think so. Well, I guess whenever the actual eShop closes, the service is down.
Yeah, I guess so. Oof. Patch your games now, folks.
Yeah. And it's not like the
Check
Switch.
for
the
downloads.
Switch, they did the best thing. They made the Switch a legacy console before it's even become legacy, because the Switch has the ability to download patches and data locally. So if somebody is on a different patch than you, you can exit the game and you can get the patch data from another Switch.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, you can update from a local Switch. So
that's cool.
That solves the problem indefinitely, right? Even if you guys don't have everything, you can catch up to whatever your partner is, and you're always able to play on the same patch at the very least.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Basically, yeah, they're doing.
Yeah.
Here, Nintendo implements BitTorrent.
Yeah, they want people to hack their hardware. Yeah, I think so. And I mean, patches and stuff are available to download, but you have to pretty much hack your hardware to do it.
They actually might even be able to, using a hardware hack, but it'd be very simple, enable local downloads on the 3DS. Because technically all of this ability has been there since the first DS, when they had download play. Like the actual peer-to-peer system that you need for it was the DS download play. It's the same system that they use for transferring accounts on the 3DS and on the Switch and all that. Where they have like little Pikmin carry the blocks over, and it's part actually of their whole download system. They're still do it on the Switch, which is why you can pause and return to a download later, after even turning your Switch off. They do everything like that kind of package system, like torrenting, and that's why on the eShop and the 3DS they're dropping blocks in. It's actually a visual representation of how they drop the little packets in. So they're pretty smart of how they handle the downloads. It's way better than how Sony does, where a download can actually crash and you have to start over because they're just doing a bulk download like you would on, or at least that's how they did on the PS4. They might have updated it for the PS5.
Really?
But you used to have to do a bulk download. So if your connection got cut in the middle of a download, it would basically...
That would be very surprising. I mean...
Yeah. What would happen is they would basically see that the download didn't finish, like it would register, so they would delete it and try to re-download again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
without being able to start halfway through. That's
Yeah,
that's technology. It's been around for
yeah.
decades. I mean,
And Nintendo's
They
been
should-
doing it
I-
with their handhelds. I don't know why it took Sony
Yeah.
so long to change it, but
yeah. I assume I don't know. I can't remember if I've ever had a download interrupted on my PS5, but God, I
it
would
was
hope
really
that
bad
that's
on
not the case.
the PS3. Sometimes it didn't even register that you had a corrupted download because of some type of interruption. So you had to go in and manually, like, delete the update data and then re-update.
Yeah.
Sometimes
Yeah, I can see that in the
PS3 was
PS3, but
clunky. Yeah,
I'm surprised that they didn't fix that in the PS4.
they might have through its lifetime. This was
Okay.
early PS4 was the last time that I downloaded anything.
Yeah.
I haven't even touched a PS4 in years, even before like, the PS5 came out. I think it was last time I personally downloaded anything on it was 2016, maybe. And then since then, if I did touch one, it was like I was using Buck's PS4 or something like that. So everything was already like downloaded on there. But God, also PS4 has horrible download times. Like a lot of times things are throttled to where there's like a maximum bandwidth that the game can download at, even if you're doing fine.
I touched a PS5 the other day. It burned, says GMT. Okay, well, don't do that again. Well, what else have you got?
There was a fun thing I mentioned in the what's it called? My pre-tweet, my quote tweet, trying to get people in here.
Oh, yeah.
There was almost another Resident Evil 4 chainsaw controller. The devs spent a lot of time actually trying to get it out and make it work, which would have been cool. They just ran out of time, right? Because they had to work on the game as well. And I think there was a picture. I can't find it anymore. There was like a mock-up picture of what the new controller looked like, but I think it vaguely looked like the old one. If anybody remembers the old Resident Evil 4 chainsaw controller, there was one for both the GameCube and the PlayStation 2 at the time, and it was basically this really janky size controller that had like two handles and it looked like a chainsaw, and you could kind of play it like that. Yeah. So it's literally the worst way to play the game, but it's also the best way to play the game because it's a chainsaw controller.
Crazy. It's stupid because it's just, it's just got buttons on it. It's just awkwardly placed. So it's.
But you're running around playing Resident Evil 4 with a chainsaw, so like how could you not want to do that, even if it's harder?
Yeah.
Does it cost more or less than a real chainsaw? Definitely a lot less. Chainsaws are pretty expensive.
Well, are they?
Yeah.
I mean, I would think the chainsaw controller is probably $100, don't you think? I don't know how much a chainsaw costs.
I have
no idea. Do we need to look up at Home Depot?
It might also depend on the quality of the chainsaw.
I typed it in and I got Chainsaw Man.
But chainsaws.
Yeah, see, a chainsaw ranges from $50 to $250.
Yeah, but I wouldn't buy a $50 chainsaw, I guess.
Yeah. Oh, it's electric. I wonder.
People like their electric chainsaw. It's fine if you're just like hedging and stuff like that.
Yeah. Then you get a hedger.
Personally, yeah. Well, so it's multi-purpose. If you take small branches and things, I'd want a gasoline-powered chainsaw.
Well, a good chainsaw is $250 to $300.
Yeah, that was closer to what I was thinking.
So that probably is more than the chainsaw controller.
Now, an unopened chainsaw controller, it might be more expensive than a real chainsaw. Just
Maybe.
because of the resale market.
Oh, the original one?
Yeah. If you have one still in the box or whatever, that's probably worth more than a chainsaw.
Indeed. Well, Maggian, I apologize if I butchered that, says, I wonder how many DMCAs I can collect by teaching people to hack their Nintendo products. I don't think you can get a DMCA for that. I mean, you could get it for anything, but I don't see why just telling people, because there's a website out there that's telling people and they've never.
I mean, you might get a
cease
cease and desist, but you could probably also be like, ignore it because what are you going to do?
Yeah.
Your cease and desist doesn't really have any power here, because even if
In
you
the
show
United
video,
States,
no, it has no
it's
power.
free speech.
Yeah, they could still send it to you,
Right.
but it doesn't have any effect. I could send anybody a cease and desist, but most of what I would send it for would have literally no weight behind it, so they don't have to.
I mean, you're not breaking the law by
No,
hacking. I don't think. I don't. You're definitely not breaking the law by telling people how to do it.
no. Worst, all you're doing is voiding your warranty. Right. That's it.
Yeah. Potentially getting kicked off of the, any eShop or whatever. You
Yeah,
could have your
there's no
account
eShop.
suspended.
Right. That's the thing.
Well, not on
once it's
3DS.
once it's closed, it's like, what do you give a fuck? Like, you can't be
Yeah,
banned
right.
from the network that doesn't exist.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. I'm just thinking for like the Switch, if you were gonna,
Yeah.
mod your Switch or whatever.
Warranty, odd combination. Okay, no, that's a perfect combination. What are you talking about?
I guess we caught up on YouTube.
Yeah.
She responded right away to that. Well, we got 10 minutes left.
Yep.
What else is going on in the world?
So we got a few things. So, Super Nintendo World has been confirmed coming to Orlando.
Oh, she's on Twitch.
So,
Yeah.
the better
Super Nintendo
better
World.
studio. I don't want to go to Universal Studios in California, but I'll go to Orlando. Let's go to Florida. Yeah.
Yeah. I've never been to Universal Studios anywhere,
Me neither.
interestingly. But I will now. I mean, if I have a chance, I'd love to go to that.
I mean, it's a horrible area, weather-wise. I mean, if you want to be muggy, and you're basically going
Orlando?
to a swamp. Yeah. Orlando's a swamp. Yeah,
Yeah.
but it's still
Depends
fun.
on the time of
It's still
year.
Nice. I was asked because people wanted me to go. Was it Bucks Family? Well, that was one of them. It was also Pattaya was going to make a group too to go, and they're going to ask me if I want to go. It's going to be in August. I'm like, I don't want to go to Disney World in August. It's a horrible time to go to Disney. Right? That's going to be the muggiest time of
Yeah.
the year. No. I mean, you want to go to the winter? I'll go to Disney World in the winter where there's like hardly anything running, but still, I'll go. It'll be a
Yeah, I
nice,
went-
like 60-degree day in the winter there.
I went with my family, I think in late February, early March or something. I think it was like a
Yeah.
spring break or something, and it was nice. Weather was nice. It wasn't too crowded. Stayed at the Polynesian. It's really nice.
Yeah. It's like, I don't want to go during August. It's awful. It's absolutely awful.
That would be terrible.
And I'm not that big into, like, I like Disney stuff. Who doesn't like old classic Disney stuff? But like, I'm not that big into it that I'd want to go to a park for a week in the middle of the summertime. That just sounds horrendous. But I would go, since it's mostly just the one attraction thing, I'd spend a weekend, get like a day pass to Universal, and just go to the Super Nintendo World and maybe check out another thing while you're already there. That sounds like a better plan than spending a week in the swamp.
Check out the Harry Potter ride.
Yeah.
Isn't
why
there a
not?
Harry Potter ride?
Oh, we can check out the worst ride at Universal Studios, which is the Jimmy Fallon virtual tour.
What?
Yeah. It was who did I find this? I think it was on Vash's channel. One of my favorite YouTubers I've watched
Oh,
forever
Vash,
was
yeah.
Vash 12349, and he's obsessed with theme parks. He's just got like an obsession. So every so often they'll do like virtual theme park rides and stuff. And there was apparently there's a Jimmy Fallon drive along virtual tour ride.
Sounds terrible.
Yeah.
Jimmy who? He's a comedian. He was on Saturday Night Live. He's on the Tonight Show, I think.
Or is
Right?
it Fallon? It might have been Jimmy Kimmel's. One of the Jimmys have a drive along ride at Universal.
Oh.
Either way, it's a
That'd be even
stupid-
worse.
It would be even worse if it was Kimmel. At least Fallon's kind of funny. And he seems like a genuine guy, like which is a problem. He can't help but laugh in his own sketches. But yeah.
Jimmy Fallon was in, remember he was in Jurassic World. He was like when they were rolling around in that gerbil ball or whatever. He was on the video.
Yeah. I remember he was in what was it, Taxi? With Queen Latifah.
I don't remember that.
You don't remember that movie?
Mm-mm.
Oh, it was great. It was he was a detective who couldn't
Mhm.
drive. Like he didn't have a license or whatever, and he needed to catch like these bank robbers. So he like commandeers the taxi, but he doesn't just take the taxi. He basically takes the taxi driver too, who's Queen Latifah, and it turns out that the taxi that he commandeered was rigged for street racing because she was using her taxi for like illegal street racing or whatever, and she had like a switch, and like the bumpers would go down and stuff, and like the taxi would actually change, and then she got that impounded, and he had to, and they basically became like a buddy cop movie between like the most unlikely people to be in a buddy cop movie together. It's pretty funny.
Never even heard of this movie. I don't think. I know Taxi Driver. I know that
Taxi
movie.
Driver's a good movie.
But yeah, did you see? Speaking of Super, whatever it's called, Super Mario World or Super Nintendo, what's it called? Nintendo World.
Super Nintendo World.
Super Nintendo World. Miyamoto objects to being called the Spielberg of video games.
Yeah, I actually have that.
Yeah, that story.
Yeah. He's like, Nintendo is Nintendo.
And Miyamoto is
He's honored by the
Miyamoto.
comparisons to Disney, though.
Oh,
Which
because
is
he doesn't think too highly of Spielberg.
Well, probably not, but like historic Disney, not modern Disney, and Nintendo do have a lot of things in common with each other with how they handle their products and their mascots and storytelling and things like that. So I could see why he'd be honored with that comparison.
Yeah.
Which being called the Spielberg game, that goes back to like 1999 when he was on Time Magazine.
Mm-hmm.
But like, even the comparison to Disney, he's like, but we're not Disney. Nintendo is just kind of its own thing. We do things differently, and he's just. When you compare him to Walt Disney, he's like, I'm just a creator. That I have stories and characters that I want to turn into games, and we do things. So like,
Yeah.
I get it.
Well, I want to be the. I don't know. I lost my train of thought.
Yeah, he's like, well, he also doesn't like being called as like, he's honored when people refer to him as like Disney, but he's like, I'm not. You know, it's like, I'm Miyamoto. Miyamoto is Miyamoto. Nintendo is Nintendo. We're our own people, and like that's the thing I get the most. People are always trying to like compare people to other great people in the past,
Yeah.
other mediums and stuff, and it's like, you know, honored by the comparison, but I'd rather just be me. I'm not trying to be somebody else.
Other people should be the Miyamoto of their thing.
Yeah. Well, actually, if you were to ask
Whatever
him,
that
he'd be
is.
like, they should be the them of their thing. He wouldn't even want people to be the Miyamoto.
Disney probably has far fewer brothels in its past. Is that what she meant to say? Far
Yeah,
fewer
probably.
than Nintendo?
Yeah, Nintendo did have a love hotel.
It did?
Yeah. You didn't know about the Nintendo Love Hotel?
No.
Yeah.
Was this at its headquarters or?
I trying to remember where it was. I don't know if I don't think it was in Kyoto. It might have been in Shibuya.
Oh, you mean like that they owned that people could go to?
Yeah, they had a love hotel.
Oh, I vaguely remember this. Sort of.
Yeah. They used to
I think I remember this.
run not just one. They had like a few love hotels.
But it wasn't a brothel. It was it? I mean, you could take whoever you wanted there, but they didn't
kind of.
employ.
It was also kind of like a geisha house in a way.
Oh.
It saved the company from
Okay.
bankruptcy at one point in time.
No,
It
whatever.
was many moons ago.
I'm not judging.
Yeah.
Better find it fast because we're running out of time.
Oh no, I had found it.
Oh.
but I dropped it. Yeah, it was a quote unquote love hotel. Yeah, like any time they talk about it, it's always in quotation marks. Yeah.
I have to look this up, and it's not still around.
No, they don't. But it was like a whole chain of love hotels.
Oh, here we go. Did you know Nintendo used to run love hotels? Multiple.
Yeah.
A whole chain.
Whole chain.
Wow. Oh, this is in the 1960s.
Like I said, many moons ago. It was back when they were still primarily a toy company.
Yeah. Well, then whatever it was I was remembering was something different.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm imagining things.
Maybe.
Interesting.
But GMT and I were on the same page. That's all that matters.
All right. Well, did Nintendo or did Disney ever do that? I think not.
I don't know. I mean, he did buy an entire, multiple acres of land in different areas. I wouldn't be surprised if there was a love hotel that existed on one of the Disney parks at some point in time.
See, it says primarily used by couples
Primarily.
and sex workers.
Yeah.
And sex workers and businessmen looking for a cheap stay.
Yeah.
But they didn't employ the sex workers. It's just,
No,
whatever.
officially. On the books.
Officially. Yeah. It was just very discreet, and they used pneumatic tubes to deliver keys and bills instead of the bellhop or the clerk. So you didn't have to ever see another person.
Nope.
God forbid.
Everything got to you Futurama style.
That's right. Before the internet, when it was just all electronic anyway.
Yeah.
Which is funny because my hotel that I'm going to be staying at, I'm already checked in, and I think I can unlock my room and everything either from an app or there's a key code that they're going to send me or something. So I don't ever have to see another person either.
That's actually scary when you think about it, though, that you can unlock your door with an app or a key code, because that means most people won't. But if somebody really wants to get into your room, they can easily bypass the electronic service.
No, I don't know about easily.
Oh no, it's pretty easy, right?
Yeah.
Now you can't find it directly on a market, but there are apps you can get for fully electronic hotels and stuff, where like you have like the slide key cards or whatever that turns the near field communication of your phone basically into a master key, and you can just kind of like put it up to a door and then get in.
GMT thought I was going to say they use pneumatic tubes to actually like transport the person into the room.
That'd be more interesting, but I feel like you need several mattresses or a ball pit or something on the other side.
Yeah.
And then you're like, this also uses suction, so there'd be like a sign saying, take a deep breath before you go into the room.
Yes, I like that idea. Sounds great. I said nothing about people.
Yeah.
Yes, apparently just to deliver the keys and bills and whatever and whatnot.
Well,
and who knows what else.
It's nothing about people. There's a lot of things you can do with pneumatic tubes.
Yeah. Obviously, I got GMT's hopes up a little bit too much. Yeah. Well, anyway, I will let you know how it works out, and if anyone breaks in and kills me at my hotel, I'll let you know.
Men have a history with vacuums. Yeah, that's where my mind was going.
Yeah. Oh God. I was thinking of sucking the person right up into their room. That'd be awesome.
There's like just a big ball pit on the other side waiting. The problem with that is
land right on your bed.
Like, no, the ball pit would be cool, except for the fact that you think, like, how clean do they get these balls? Because there's probably been a couple before you that had sex in the ball pit, and I'm not sure I actually want it. Yeah.
No, I don't want to see. I don't want to think about that. There will be no ball pit in my hotel room.
Sex in the ball pit sounds like a great idea until you realize other people had sex in the ball pit. You're like, if it was just my personal ball pit.
Oh God, no. Not enough bleach in the world.
We've reached the end of the show. Thank you all for watching.
Yeah. On that note.
Yeah. If you enjoyed the show, please consider sharing it with somebody else. Don't even consider. Do it. Share it with somebody else. Force them to watch it. And if you really enjoyed the show, consider giving a donation to streamlabs.com/vomitoriumlive. And we'll see you guys in the next episode.
See ya from Arizona.